Hello, everyone. This is another show we have. Today we have my friend Michele McCrea, and I'm going to let her speak about who she is and what she does. But I just want you guys to know this is my first time talking to someone in another country. And Michele will tell you about her, and then we'll go into how we met. Michele, thank you so much for joining us. Go ahead and tell us who you are and where you're from.
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me, Sandy. I'm happy to be here. I am actually up in northern Alberta, Canada. So I think it's a 2-hour time difference from you. And it's pretty far north. It's pretty cold here right now. We're surviving. My company is called Carry Me Company. And I decided on that name because it's a mixture of my name, my husband's name, and my kids' names. So I just came up with a new word with all of our initials. And I started the company so that I could produce my invention that is called GuardaVent. And it's a childproof floor vent cover.
Yes, I remember seeing your product. I remember we met each other through a Facebook group. I forget which one it was now.
I don't even know either.
But I was so grateful for meeting you because it was earlier on in my journey when I launched Babalid, and you were a little in it. I think you were in manufacturing process or
not quite. Like I think we were both in the same spot. We were just figuring out manufacturing and figuring out our websites and stuff at the same time, which is how we connected.
Yes, and so you created a vent cover. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us exactly what does your cover do?
Yeah, so it's the main reason why I invented it is because it's childproof. So my kids were small and crawling around and pulling off our vent covers. And it was right at the time, like, especially with our first, we were childproofing everything. Mm-hmm. But when I went online to find a childproof vent cover, I couldn't find anything. There was nothing really out there that's for childproofing or that would work for it to stay on the floor anyways. So I was kind of like, well, if I don't figure out how to make this and bring it to the market, I'm going to kick myself when I see it on there in a few years. So I asked a few people in the building business. I asked my brother, he's a home builder, like what would be the best way to design it? How would be the best way and a simple way, because I kind of had a few complicated ideas at first, but I settled on just making it out of plastic and making it so it had a lid that opened and closed. And then when the lid's closed, it has 2 really small tabs that lock it in place. Mm-hmm. And the reason for the lid opening is so that you can drill it into your floors, but on the inside of your vent. So you're not going to wreck your floors. And then when the lid's closed, your kids can't open it and hurt themselves or put things down there.
Yeah. When I first saw your invention, I didn't realize that I had that problem because when we lived in another house, we had those vent covers. And I remember one time cleaning and I saw so many small pieces of toys in there, just a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to me that was a problem until I saw yours, because the way yours is designed as well, you can close the vents, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is perfect because even if it's on the floor, even with the child maybe not be able to pick it up, they can still stick it through the vents, and you have a whole bunch of stuff just in there. So I think it's a really clever idea. I love the fact that it could be screwed into the floor because now they can't pick it up.
Yeah.
And it's so light, it's lightweight. I love the colors you have because some of the colors matches the floors.
Yeah, I tried to make some options, right? So people could match it to their house or, their paint or whatever, so that it looks, it looks really good when it matches your floor for sure.
For sure. I saw that in some of the, on your social media page, I saw some of the properties that were being built and they used your covers, which was really, really nice. So I want to talk to you about the invention journey, because I know everyone has some problem in some way. They're like, this should have been done better. Why didn't the manufacturer do this better? What is it that made you feel like you could do this? Like, because a lot of times we have problems and no one goes out of their way to invest money and time to solve that problem. Can you
Yeah.
tell me exactly what was going through your mind when you made that decision?
You know what? It's really hard to go back and remember why I did it. Like, I think mostly like it was for sure just the fact that there was nothing like it. And like I said, if I would have seen it in the stores later on, I would have been mad because I had thought of trying to do it. And once I started to look into like how many floor vent covers are in North America, how many families have kids, like those numbers are really big. So I kind of felt like even if I just was able to capture just a really small portion of that market, that would be good enough for me, because I didn't really want to like get rich off of it. I just wanted to like have something that was my own that I could show my kids, like, look what I did, and then maybe even pass it on to them later. And it was kind of also at a time in my life, like my youngest was a toddler then, she was 18 months old. And so it was kind of like have another kid or start a business. And I knew that we were done having kids. So this is what I took on. And it was kind of a way for me to like escape out of motherhood and have something that was my own. And I'm really glad that I did that too.
Yeah, I'm glad you did it, because if it probably wouldn't connect in the way that we did if you didn't do that, right? So I want to talk to you about, I know for me, when I started my invention, one of the biggest challenge for me when I was starting to like put myself out there was the fear of someone taking up your idea and making it their own. How was that for you? Was there any fears going through you when you decided, you know what, I want to invent this, I want to manufacture this, and how do I go about it without someone copying my idea? How did you go about that?
Yeah, that's a really important thing, because that's one of the first things you think of, right? And you always get sort of directed over to getting a patent right away, and like everyone's telling you this is what you need to do. And I, like, for me, when I looked into getting a patent, it was so expensive. Like there's no way that I would put that money into it before even having a product in my hand. So I just did a lot of research and I did a lot of thinking, and I called a few people and I made sure I had an NDA in place for whoever I talked to start with before I even thought about doing patents.
Tell us what the NDA is. So for those who may not know what that is, can you tell them?
A non-disclosure agreement. So I would get people to sign that before I talked to them about it. So I talked to like, I did talk to somebody about patents. I talked to somebody about manufacturing, like in the very beginning, and I made sure to have them sign an NDA before I got on the phone with them. But yeah, that was how I kind of thought about it, is that a patent would be great. It would be nice, but I think getting to market is more important. And there's ways to do that without spending tons of money.
I love what you're saying, because all inventors, even the ones that I come across now, they have this idea, but they want to make sure that they're protected before they even share it or even work with anyone. And that's a normal fear. But I think in retrospect, when you're thinking about how you would have done things differently, are you saying that if you could do this again, would you have stressed having a patent first like you did? Or how would that have looked for you?
No, I wouldn't stress that. I would stress more like do your research on market fit, and do your research on marketing, and do your research on like make sure your product's really good. Do your research on your branding, like, because like there's lots of products that are the same out there, but they have different brands. So if your brand is good and your brand is like, if you're like the original, then that's fine too. Like you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's so important, because there's so many people who want to do something and they think that the first step is getting a patent.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the first step would be, is there a product like yours already? Is there something doing what you're trying to solve? And if there is something similar, I'm sure there's a way you can tweak it to make it different from the one that's available. But there is an overemphasis on getting a patent. And I was there too. I think that majority of my time was spent in making sure that I was protected because of the fear of someone taking my idea. But when I look back, I would not have worried about it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also like you have to think about who's going to steal it when you're like, you're kind of in the beginning and you're not making any money. Like nobody's really looking at you. Like you're not as important as you think you are. And you just have to focus on getting your product to market.
Definitely. Yeah. And I will also say that I think that a lot of times what differentiate anyone from anything, I think it's like your story, right? Because you may have a product that's similar, but there's an experience, there's a story that's being told that's totally different. And that's where you can build your community and relate with people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a huge part of it. And that's what I would focus on for sure, way more than like worrying about your patent.
Yeah. Because before I saw your invention, I never thought about it as a child-proof tool, right? Because it's there. It's a cover for the vents. It's just supposed to be there. But there is, the children going through, like we worry about the outlets and all these other things when it comes to child-proofing. But that was the first time I actually thought about, oh, wait a minute, this is a problem. And I think for you, being that there may be covers, but no one was talking about it as it relates to those toys and the food
exactly.
and the lids inside of those vents, right?
Yes. Yeah. No one was talking about it, and it wasn't. Oh, sorry. Here's Casey.
That's okay.
Here's
Hey,
Casey.
Casey.
Casey's the one who made this all happen.
Well, thank you for joining us, Casey. Now we get to see Casey.
What do you need, Boo?
I want to hang my thing back up.
Okay, can I come help you when I'm done?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah.
I love that Casey joined us because this is all about Mompreneur Talks. And guess what? This is the reality of our experience. Our children interrupt us. Well, not interrupt us. They get to be a part of what we're doing because who else are they going to go to?
Right. And I think it's so important that they see it. Like I still tell my kids every time I have a sale, like, oh, I sold this many event covers today. And they're kind of like, oh, whatever. But I think when they're older, they'll be like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool that she did that.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that the kids are involved. We're going to talk about them a little bit more. But I want to ask you another question about your any other protections that you had to get for your company or for your product other than the patent.
I did file for a trademark for GuardaVent, just for the name of the event covers, because that's another thing. I did that because in case somebody ever did copy me, I have that name, right? And so that name, first of all, I'm the first one to have childproof event covers, but now GuardaVent is the name. GuardaVent's like, I want it to be like the Coca-Cola event covers. Like everybody knows it, everybody trusts it, that type of thing. So that's why I trademarked the name. And then I read about patents that you can get a provisional patent, which will cover you for a year before you had to get a real patent. And so I think that's the best route to go to, which, if I could go back and do it over again, I would have waited even longer to file my provisional patent because it took a long time to get to the manufacturing stage, way longer than I thought.
Yeah.
So I was kind of under the gun to get the patent done because you only have a year once you file your provisional patent to get your patent application done. So yeah, just speaking about that too, that is a way that you can start working on it and be protected, is having your patent pending status.
Yeah. So your patent, is yours a utility patent or a design patent?
It's a utility patent, but mine is still pending. Like I still don't have my patent even. So I think I filed the application in 2020 and it still hasn't been approved. Like it's still going through the course. So that's another thing. You just, at least I can say patent pending, but I still don't have a patent. He said it could take years. And sometimes you have to go back and argue certain points that they make. And one of the reasons, I think we should talk about this too, one of the reasons why I was able to file a patent at all is because I got a grant that paid for it. So that's another thing, is looking at resources that are available in your area. Yeah. And there's quite a few around here.
And here's my little guy here. And today's actually his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Hi, Jay. Josiah, can I finish what I'm doing here? You can come back. Here, you can take this. Can you close my door, please? Thank you. So this is the reality, guys. But it's possible. We're making it happen. So you can close the door for me too. Thank you. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So you're in Canada. So I don't know if it's. I'm not sure in the United States there are opportunities where people can apply for a grant to get a patent. I haven't seen it. I wish there was one because it's very expensive. Can you tell us about that? How did you go about getting a grant for your patent?
So by going through the process and using Google a lot, I started to just the algorithm started to show me more and more things that were kind of relevant to developing a product. And I think it was on Facebook I came across, there's a government funded program in my area that had money for grants to give to small businesses for accomplishing certain things. So originally when I talked to them, I was going to apply for a grant to get to a trade show. But when I thought about that, that would be great, but I'm not even to the manufacturing stage yet at that point. And then we settled on let's apply for getting your patent application funded. And so that's what I did. But it was just literally just the algorithm doing its thing. And it still does that for me. The more I'm on Google and Facebook and clicking on links to do with what I'm looking for, I find more and more things. But I'm sure it really does depend on your area where you live. But there's always programs. Looking to colleges and universities is a good one, because they'll have students that might help you file it. Maybe they're in school for a patent lawyer, but they need the experience. Or there was a group at the college here that would help with developing the product, helping me design it. So yeah, it's just a matter of reaching out to your local, even if you just contacted your city or your municipality, and they would know something.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I like what you said about the colleges, because there are so many resources. And like you said, some students that are looking for opportunities to work with small businesses to kind of develop their skills, and you can reach out to them and find help where you need it.
Yeah, networking, and then you have those contacts, and that's you're networking. Your group grows of people that you know and people that can help you, and it's worth it.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. All right, so I want to turn it over to your other skills that you have, because I remember when I met you, you saved me from so much when I was doing my website. So Michelle and I, when we met, we're talking about an invention process and all the different things that is involved in the manufacturing and stuff. But I remember when I was going to do my Kickstarter, and I was having some issues with, doing the website because I was trying to do it on my own. And Michelle came to the rescue. Michelle really helped me out, figure out the Shopify stuff. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't have been able to launch as soon as I did my Kickstarter if I didn't meet Michelle. So Michelle, tell us about your marketing skills, the things that you're doing for small businesses and helping them out in that area.
Yeah. So when I first started my website, I learned everything from scratch. I literally didn't even know that you could go and make your own website. I thought for sure you'd have to hire a web designer, and it was going to be crazy expensive. And I was really kind of worried about it. But then when I found Shopify, and then Shopify is not the only one, I know that now, but I found Shopify, I think, first. And I was just self-taught. I taught myself. I spent hours and hours on it. And but the reason I did is because I loved it and I was good at it and it made sense to me. And so I just built on that. And eventually, I started offering to do it for other people. And I also went through and did a Kickstarter for GuardaVent too, although I never launched it. But I went through all the steps to make the campaign, so I kind of knew what you were facing too.
Yeah.
And so I offer that for people. And then now that I'm even further along in this journey, I also help people with their social media. So there's a few companies that I just create social media graphics for and post it for them. And that helps me. That's another sort of branch of my business that helps me pay for everything. Yeah.
So are you still doing that? Are you still helping out? Okay, so good. So if someone wants to reach out to Michele, if you're having some issues with, your website, anything as it relates to social media, I think even you can reach out to Michele and she will be more than happy to help you because she saved me so many times.
Yeah, I'm so happy to help people. I love it.
Yeah. So let's talk about your experience. I remember we were talking and there was a situation you had with someone, either took some money from you for your invention. Can you share that with us, what that experience was like for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is so important. So almost immediately when you start typing into Google, like I have a product that I want to make or I have an invention, I want to be an inventor. It's like all these companies come up that say, oh, we'll help you bring your product to market. We'll help you. We'll do it all. And all you have to do is just like pay us, $10,000, $20,000. So sorry. So I managed to avoid all of those. But then when it came to manufacturing, I came across somebody on one of the inventors Facebook groups who said, hey, like, I want to start this manufacturing business and I have the experience. I just need clients and I will do a payment plan for anybody who signs up with me. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was like really appealing because I didn't know how I was going to pay to get my molds made because when I looked into that, that's also very expensive. Mm-hmm. So that sounded great to me. And then I would be able to get the molds made and start selling and use the sales to pay for the rest of the molds. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was like really, it's one of those things. It sounded too good to be true, mm-hmm. but I really wanted to trust this guy because he had like lots of references that he showed me and all that. Mm-hmm. And he was just, he was a really smooth talker and mm-hmm. I wanted it to be true. And we signed a contract and everything, but I sent him one deposit. No, I sent him 2 deposits. Mm-hmm. And after, I think it was like 3 months, I had no updates. Like he said, I'll send you pictures and I'll tell you what's going on. And I never heard from them. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, you know what? Cancel it. I'm not doing this. Give me my money back. And then of course he only gave me like $500 back out of $5,000 that I sent him. Wow. So it was really disappointing. I still try to call him every once in a while to bug him because mm-hmm. he's still out there. Like but he's also in the States and I'm in Canada. And like, I have no way of kind of doing any recourse whatsoever other than just bugging him every once in a while. But that was a huge lesson. Like, you got to be really careful who you deal with and do your background checks on them.
Yeah. And what would you recommend? What are some things that people should be aware of to avoid this kind of problem?
I think you just got to do your background checks on the company and see who else they've worked with, talk to other people that they've worked with. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't do that. Like I looked him up on the internet and I looked him up on Facebook. And so he's got everything lined up on there, but I never talked to anybody who had done business with him before, Yeah. So I think that would have helped.
And it's so easy to position yourself as someone credible online,
Yes, exactly.
Everything looks perfect on a website. Everything looks, oh my God, they got reviews and they have, all these different things that they put together because they know that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
But I think also what's important, I don't know what you did when it came to payment. Did you pay with a credit card or how did you send the payment to him?
I think I paid through PayPal.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so that would have been a credit card.
Yeah. PayPal has some recourses as well, but I think it has a time frame as to how long. So, but I would say that if you're working with somebody, never wire any money to them. Yeah. Always use a credit card. You can use a bank card as well, but they always give you a time frame when you can put in a claim. So it's very, so just make sure that in addition to doing the research, because like I said, there's so many things online, people present themselves to be knowledgeable, credible, experienced in something. And then when you find out later, they were not as, legit as they presented themselves to be. So,
well, and as a matter of fact, the manufacturer that I ended up going with, they don't even have an online presence really. They have a website and that's it. And they have been amazing.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's a scary road because you're putting so much money into this. I remember the first time I sent money to the guy who was doing my manufacturing. I was like, oh my God, because you hear stories, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a lot of money, if I were to lose it. But thank God, everything worked out, So yeah, it's important to communicate with other people too. I know with the invention stuff, people don't want to talk about their ideas because of fear of someone stealing it. But it's also important to connect with people who have done it so they can tell you, because they may have had an experience with the company that you're interested in working with. So always good to do that. All right. So we talked about your marketing stuff. Is there anything else that you would like to talk to us about? I don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything that you would share with a mom right now who's has this idea for years, forever, but she's like, first of all, she don't want to share with anybody because she's afraid that they're going to take it from her. And she doesn't really know how much it's going to cost her. She doesn't think she could afford it because it's so expensive to do this stuff. What would you say to her?
I would say that you can definitely do it, but I would say, like, with an emphasis on do your research before you start and talk to, like, there's so many free resources and business outlets who will help you, like, walk you through it that are free. Be very cautious about paying people for things early on. So that's something that I wish I had been more careful of, obviously. Because there's so many free resources available and there's so much that you can learn just by researching yourself. And then another thing I would say is get your brand figured out right away. Get like at least a landing page figured out right away, and a Facebook page and an Instagram page, and start posting, and even a Google business page, because that is something that I did do, and it was really helpful when it came to launching, that I already had sort of like visitors coming. I already had people's emails. I already had analytics for all that for my keywords. So I think that's important, and keyword research is really important.
Yeah, I want to say that too. I remember when you first started, you were saying how you had a landing page where you were collecting email, even before your product was launched, even before you went into manufacturing, all that stuff. So yeah, that's a great idea, to set up that landing page and just connect with the people who might be interested in your brand, in your product, and have that available. So when you do launch, you have people who willing to share and even purchase your product.
Yeah, and if you do it right, like, this isn't what I did, but this is in hindsight. If you do it right, you have that community behind you, that's a really good resource to kind of ask questions as you're designing the product too, just in case you miss anything, because I did end up going back and making a couple changes on my mold after the fact. So I think that could have been avoided maybe if I had more people involved and like that audience to reach out to and show the product to and ask them questions. And people love that too. Like, they love to be helpful in those ways. So yeah,
that sounds great. So I know you said that you're not trying to make tons of money in this whole venture, but is there a bigger purpose here for you? Is there something that you're looking to do long term? Where do you see the company in the next 10 years?
I definitely want to make more money. Like, that's always great. Like, I kind of understand the importance of like having that multiple streams of income so that you can, have a better life, for sure. That's always going to be a part of it. I want to add more products though. So like my vent cover, like you said, you can close it so there's the airflow stops, and then you could stop kids from putting stuff in. But I want to go a step further and do like a little net inside there that will catch small things, even if they do put it down. And then maybe even like a filter that you could put essential oils in and your house could smell good. Like, I do want to take it a little bit further than just the one product. And then I think like 5-10 years is just keep building on the momentum that I have. So I'm selling for my website and Amazon.ca right now. And I want to get to Amazon.com, and I want to be just having like a smooth process, way smoother than I have now. So that's, that's just, I'm always learning every day. And I was just going over everything today, and like things are getting a lot better. So I just feel like if I keep going the way I'm going, it's going to be really good. And in 10 years, I probably won't have to do much. Like, it'll just kind of run itself. And I think that's like the ultimate goal for me.
Yeah. So you said things are getting a lot better. Why do you think things are getting a lot better? What's happening?
I'm more consistent with my advertising. Like, I've figured out my keywords. I've figured out my target audience. I'm posting more often. I've got a good some ads going on Google and Facebook, and those are kind of running so that my sales are getting better and better. So then if I can keep building on that and upping my budget and getting more sales, because what I'm running into is like they're selling, but then I have no money left over to get more.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by my process. Like I need to make sure that I'm putting this money aside to do the next order run, basically.
Yeah.
And you want to do more, you want to order more so that it costs less. So it's just figuring all that out for me, and then figuring out how to do the assembly and packaging, not at my house.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So a warehouse is definitely in the future for you.
Absolutely. That'd be so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. You are on Amazon Canada, right?
Yeah.
And where else can people purchase the vents from? GuardaVent.
On my website. So that's www.caryme.com, and Caryme is Karymi.
Okay. And they can find you on social media where?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, GuardaVent by Caryme, and Instagram and TikTok. Although TikTok, I'm still getting used to and figuring it out, but I'm there. You can follow me, and that'd be great.
We all are trying to figure it out. And I wanted to say to you, because you said things are getting better for you. I think that things are getting better because you're getting better.
That's
and
right.
Yeah, the more you get better at what you're doing and what you're learning, the better your company becomes.
Yeah,
so you're doing a great job.
Thank you. So are you.
All right, Michelle, it was so good to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time to be interviewed, and we will connect soon. Anything else you want to share?
Perfect. No, that's great.
That's
I love that. Yeah.
All right,
that was really
perfect. Good. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Andy.
Okay.